On today's episode, we are doing something new that we've never done before, and that is a live recording of a 3-month follow-up call that I did with one of my real, actual clients. The reason that this happened is we were doing her follow-up call, which I hadn't seen her in 3 months. We had created a health plan for her to follow, and then we gave her time to follow that plan and let her body heal. And then we have a 3-month follow-up where we say, how's everything? I have my clients refill out an health intake form that we did where there's all these different numbers where you rate things, how intense they are, how bad they are. And we just see where's improvement, where is there still room for improvement, what is their body saying, and we make fine-tuning tweaks to their protocol. With this client, it was so exciting. It was just so amazing. When I jumped on the call with her, I mean, her face looked different, her smile looked different, her energy was totally different. And I pretty early on in the call said, would you be open to us recording this and sharing it on the podcast? She was so kind to say yes. She said she loves the podcast. She really supports it, and wanted to be able to share some of her story and her results with you all here on the podcast. So as a recap, as you're listening to this client and her story, some of the big things that she walked in with were her top 3 things that she wanted gone from her life were upper abdominal pain, joint pain, and fatigue. She did have a slew of other symptoms, which you'll actually hear us talking about, which we ended up rating on a scale of 0 to 5 intensity. And you'll hear she had so many things improve. It is an incredible episode, and it's just so incredible to be able to share this all with you. If you are curious, we did 3 foundational tests with her, which is our GI map test, which it's a stool test and looks at gut pathogens in the body. We did a hormone test, and we did a really deep food sensitivity test called a Zoomer. My client Dessie is not done with her healing protocol yet, but this is about halfway through a process of the typical amount of times we spend with our clients. In this episode, you're going to hear us talk about what it looks like when your body detoxes, fluctuations in your sleep quality or your tiredness or your period as you are going through healing. And I will also let you guys know this was impromptu, so the sound quality isn't as good as it normally is. And upon re-listening to this call, I also realized I am significantly less perky than I am normally on the podcast because I'm working. I'm really thinking about this client and her case, and I'm actually looking at documents which you guys can't see. So if I seem a little bit more clinical or a little bit less perky and fun, it's just because I'm thinking. So I really hope that you guys find some great insight into what it's like to work with our clinic, the results that many of our clients get with us, and also pick up some tidbits on health that we talk about along the way. Are you guys ready? I am so excited to bring you today's episode. Welcome to the Better Belly podcast, where we find freedom from food restrictions, we increase energy in our lives, and we begin to feel more healthy and vibrant than ever by finding the root causes of our health problems. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a marathon runner, functional medicine health coach, certified craniosacral therapist, gut health nerd, lover of Jesus, and owner of Better Belly Therapies, a clinic based in Ann Arbor, Michigan that works with both virtual and local clients to help them achieve the best health of their life. I am here to walk with you on your journey to a better belly and a better life. We're going to go beyond popping a probiotic and just checking out our poop. In this show, we are going to go deep into gut transformation strategies that last for your entire life. If you are ready to feel your best, get ready to roll. You are in the right place. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. Dessie, just to review what we were just saying, you
started off giving us your top three symptoms, which were upper abdominal pain, fatigue, and joint pain. And your biggest one was that upper abdominal pain. Started off at a 10. You've done a lot of work to try and deal with it. And now it's at a 3. And you said how quickly did you say you started feeling better?
Within a week, I felt immensely better, but then within 2 weeks, I noticed, I mean, my life literally changed. I felt so much better, and I couldn't believe that it happened that quickly, to be honest.
That's what a lot of our clients say, and we're never quite sure. Like, I'm not a fortune, I don't try to do fortune telling. What I can do is say consistently see results in about blank time. But I mean, you went from a 10 to a 3, which is a 70% improvement
Yes.
in about 1 to 2 weeks, and you've maintained it for about 3 months.
Hmm.
Which to me says there's some room for improvement. But I do want to kind of ask you, for that 3, what does that 3 mean to you? Where are you noticing? What's the pain like? When's it happening? Can you tell me more?
So I did, based on your recommendation, I did the autoimmune protocol. And so the past 2 weeks have not been as great for me as the prior, I guess, 6, 8 weeks or so have been. And that's only because I started reintroducing some foods,
Okay.
because I kind of wanted to test the waters and see, how I would react to some foods that I had cut out of my diet. And so that, I think, right away I noticed that some of the foods that I was eating were not agreeing with me. So I actually have cut those foods out of my diet again, but I'm still having some lingering effects. I got joint pain in my hands, and I have had this terrible rash on my hands, actually, the back of my hands, that is pretty persistent.
Okay.
So yeah, that's really the only thing. As long as I stick to the autoimmune protocol, or mostly paleo,
Okay.
then things seem to be going really well.
All right. And can you tell me, what do you remember a specific food or specific foods that, or what were the ones that you put back in and then cut back out? Tell me that.
So, um, let's see, tomatoes. So I tried tomatoes, and I actually tried those 3 times, 3 separate times. And only on the third time that I tried them did they seem to agree with me, although I'm still questioning that a little bit. Um, I did try some rice, some brown rice, and I don't think that agreed with me, which now I know from the Zoomer
Yeah,
why.
we did a really these amazing deep food sensitivities tests called Zoomers, just like the most cute name ever.
No, I love it.
Yeah, and we found out that you have some cross reactivity with rice. So that's actually interesting. Now I feel confirmed about that. Okay, so brown rice didn't work, and your test agrees.
Yep. And dairy. I tried a little bit of what did I have? Some cream inadvertently.
Oh,
my,
yeah.
my daughter wanted to have a little glass of cream, and I just happened to have some. So I gave her like a little glass of it, and I got some on my finger, and I licked my finger, and I kid you not, it was almost immediate. My stomach just started hurting, and I was like, "Oh, what did I eat?" And then because I didn't even think about it when I licked my finger,
Yeah.
just it's like one of those things.
And dairy came up pretty hot for you too on your Zoomer test. We tested wheat, dairy, uh, I should remember this, wheat, dairy,
Corn,
corn, and grains.
yes,
So that what's interesting, and you haven't reached 3 months, quite 3 months yet,
right.
but you're close to 3 months healing protocol. And what I find is that as you're going through this healing protocol, and tomatoes is the one thing where it's like, okay, is there anything else going on, as you heard from the expert who I met with about your Zoomers. Lectins are
Mhm.
something that would be, if you're still not getting the results you want, lectins are in tomatoes. I mean, lectins are in everything, but tomatoes, both the seeds and the skin of a tomato have a lot of lectins in them. So, but the other thing before we jump on to like blaming of food, we know brown rice and dairy, we're just gonna, those are gonna be a no-go. But the other thing that we want to think about is, do we want to just give your body more time to heal? So
Absolutely.
3 months is typically not where I start to see that the body really stabilizing, and that, because we also want to consider leaky gut. Like 3 months isn't enough time for leaky gut to heal typically,
Uh,
and everybody's got a different amount of leaky gut. Basically, a different amount of irritation and destruction that needs to heal. So it's like the difference between a fractured bone and like a completely broken off bone.
Okay.
So um, just to encourage you that even though I'd say the dairy and the brown rice events were maybe will never stop happening, the good news is potentially things like tomatoes or other foods that you might reintroduce. There's still opportunity for healing from what I see with my clients.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah. Um, all right.
And that
And
totally makes sense to me.
yeah,
It
and
took
we'll
years to get to this point, so
yeah, you're right. It doesn't happen overnight. Your body doesn't wake up and say, let's have symptoms. But then the question is usually, well, where are they coming from? And for you, that was a mystery initially, but we did some good testing and there was a little bit less mystery going on. All right. And so we'll definitely come back to talking about that rash on the back of your hands, because that's cueing something on my mind. I have it written down, so I want to let you know we'll come back to it. And then joint pain still there, or did that at least disappear?
no, it has significantly diminished. But I do still have joint pain.
Yeah, you initially wrote that joint pain was about a 6 out of 10. Now it's a 4 out of 10, so not quite 50% improvement. But tell me, when do you notice your joint pain? Tell me more about that.
Um, Mostly, and this has always been the case for me, it's mostly in my hands and in my knees. And so whenever I'm going like up and down stairs, or if I'm like bending down to pick something up, um, and in the mornings is when it tends to be the worst, of course, after being, asleep all night. And
Does your spine feel stiff at all in the mornings?
oh yes, definitely, especially my upper spine.
Okay, that's interesting. That's making me think. Um, I'm gonna look through some of your other symptoms, but you might have, and we're gonna talk about some other stuff and look through what we found in your sheet. But one of the interesting thing about pathogens when we deal with them um, is that sometimes when we initially do one test, like we did a stool test with you and we find stuff, what happens is you deal with it and then you dissolve layers. Literally, there's layers. So have you ever heard of a biofilm?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So biofilm, the simplest form of biofilm is like plaque on your teeth.
Okay.
It's like thick stuff, and basically, the plaque on your teeth builds up when you do what? Are you familiar?
When you don't brush your teeth
When
and
you
take
don't brush your
care of
teeth,
your teeth, yeah.
it'll build up really quickly if you eat sugar.
Oh, sure, right.
Like sugar and carbs, like a lot of potato chips or a lot of Skittles or something. You'll feel that stuff just like, and that's the bacteria multiplying so quickly that they just build up. And that's called a biofilm. It's a protective layer that bacteria create to protect themselves from, like your tongue can't get rid of it. You have to like literally chip away at it with a toothbrush. Well, that biofilm can also develop in your gut.
Okay.
And it's their little like kingdom wall that says like, I don't care what you throw at me, I'm not going to break down. Now we have been throwing at with the supplements, we've been taking very good healthy things to help break that biofilm down. But if the biofilm is deep or like old, then what's going to happen is while you start to feel better, you're actually going to unearth more things because they're going to be exposed to the air more or less. You're breaking down their wall, but now you have to get rid of them. So there's a chance that we could retest a stool test or do something called an organic acids test, and we'll find something new. And that's not to discourage you, like, oh, we didn't find it the first time, but rather to say, oh, that's going on. You having this ongoing joint pain, especially that spine stiffness and it being worse in the morning, correlates commonly with the fact that many pathogens, I'm especially thinking something like Candida, that's just my intuition and things I see commonly, tends to be most active at night. And then you get all these toxins dumped into your body at night. And then you wake up and you have all that extra stiffness.
Okay.
So it's not because you're not stretching enough, although I know sometimes stretching can make it feel a little better. So it's not that stretching's bad for you. But like I experienced that when I was really sick, and a lot of my clients experience that. And when it's that especially that uniqueness of it being worse in morning really makes me think it's something happening at night, which could have to be with other things. But the first thing I always think about is pathogens.
Okay.
So based off of that, I would say maybe wait a few more weeks till you finish your initial pathogen protocol, and then see if that joint pain really doesn't diminish. We would do another test.
Okay.
So I'm gonna write that in my notes.
Okay.
And we can talk later about what we would test with. You can either do the same test we did, which could be warranted for you, or we could do a different test that will look at a couple things we haven't looked at yet and a couple things we have. There'll be a little bit of overlap. That's called an organic acid test, what we might do.
Okay.
And then the last thing that I see here is your fatigue. Your fatigue started at a 5 out of 10. Actually, do you have any questions on the joint pain or anything? Okay. Last thing is your fatigue. You started with a 5 out of 10, 10 being the worst, and now it's a 2. So that's also another, 50, more than 50% improvement. Tell me about your fatigue. When are you noticing it? What's it like? When's it worse?
So honestly, that has been the biggest improvement of all. Besides maybe the abdominal pain, they're pretty much neck and neck. But so I feel like I'm finally getting decent sleep. I have a fitness tracker, and before I started our protocol, I was getting maybe 5 hours a night of like somewhat crappy sleep. And now I am consistently getting 7 to 8 hours of like awesome sleep. It's pretty impressive. I feel like I can go to sleep and I sleep through the entire night, which I don't remember the last time I've been able to do that. And I wake up feeling ready to get up, and I feel refreshed, and I do not really feel fatigued until like the end of the day, which, it would seem to me to be pretty normal, just going through the normal actions of life and everything. And so, yeah, exactly. So
what time of day, when you say it's at night that you're noticing this, what time of day are you seeing it?
I would say it's around like 7 o'clock at night.
And does it feel like you hit a wall, or do you just like, oh yeah, I'm slowing down a bit?
Sometimes I hit a wall, and sometimes it's more just feeling like I'm slowing down, and now I'm really ready to go to sleep. But I would say that more often than not, I'm pretty exhausted, at least by 9 o'clock.
Okay. I'm okay with 9. 7 feels a little early to me, but tell me what time are you waking up?
6 o'clock.
Okay. So, you are going through you're going through a healing stage right now. So I do find that sometimes my clients will say they feel sleepier, especially the first 1 to 3 months working with me and doing the protocol, because their body's like, I can actually sleep now. And so your attuneness to sleepiness is a little bit more sensitive, but the good news is then you're actually sleeping and resting. So it's kind of like when you're sick and you get the flu, you just sleep more and you don't, feel bad about it. So 7 p.m. feels a little early. You know, if you're sleeping from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., that's about 8 hours of sleep. That's an average amount for a healthy adult. You know, sometimes going through a healing protocol, 9 hours of sleep might be warranted. So there's a chance that maybe some days your body's just like, hey, we're healing extra today. That's an option. But the other thing is that like that wall feeling, and that if it's happening consistently at 7 p.m., just shows like healing opportunities. Like, I think that could be improved for you. And that might happen giving your body just enough time, but it also might happen from doing a couple fine tuning things that we can do together.
Okay.
So do you know, I guess one more question. Do you know how many days you are hitting that 7 p.m. wall? Is like once a week on maybe an average?
It's probably more like 4 or 5 times a week.
Okay, you hit a wall 4 to 5 times a week at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
All right. That says healing opportunity to me. So not that you're doing anything wrong, just like what can we learn from that? What's your body telling us?
Okay.
And the good news is you don't have to live with it. Like,
Right. Yay.
yay. So awesome. We can get that to even lower. All right. All right. Let me look at the Excel sheet you filled out. You've
Okay.
filled out some new. This is interesting. You say I'm just going to point out some areas of improvement where I'm seeing you don't bruise as easily.
Yes. And
That is interesting. Tell me more.
I mean, I have bruised easily for as long as I can remember. And yeah, I don't notice as many. I mean, like my legs, sometimes the front of my shins and thighs, I would go to a doctor sometimes and they'd be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You know, are you playing rugby or soccer or what are you doing? And I would say, no, nothing like that. I actually don't have any idea where I get these bruises. And I am not noticing those types of bruises like I have before. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like your headaches are down as
Yes,
well.
absolutely.
You went from a 3 to a 1. That's on a scale of 0 to 5, so smaller scale.
Yeah.
Indigestion when stressed or tense, that's gone down, which is probably big, so that everyone's going to be stressed and tense. We don't want indigestion on top of it.
Right, exactly.
That's improved for you 50% from a 4 to a 2. Interesting. And we can cut this out if we need to. Menstrual irregularities and problems, that's actually increased. You went from a 3 to a 4. Can you tell me more?
Mhm. So I guess I should tell you, I am being, my doctor thinks I might have endometriosis,
Okay.
which my mom had. But anyway, so this might relate to this whole menstrual cycle thing, but I went from having very short cycles, like 24 days, short for me. I have throughout my whole life, I've always been like clockwork, 28 days, 28 days.
Yeah.
And just recently, within the past 6 months or so, I've gone down to like 24 days, 23 days. And then I just went down to 19 days. And then my cycles themselves, my periods are like one day, with like barely anything. And then the next time that I had my period, then it was like 35 days in between. So that, I mean, it's just completely wonky and not at all what I've ever experienced.
Okay. And that's interesting. It really, I'm not 100% surprised. We're stirring things up for you. And endometriosis, actually, just like many autoimmune disorders, it flares up whenever anything else in the body is flaring up. So whether that's you're eating a food that flares up your body, or there's a pathogen present, what we've been doing is we've been detoxing your body. We've been helping your liver decongest. We've been helping push out pathogens in your body. We've been building your immune system again. And that is a lot of change. And that can sometimes flare up a condition that's present. So like I have clients who have interstitial cystitis. I don't know if you know what that is.
I do, yeah.
But sometimes we just have to be gentler with our protocol, because literally healing is just that, like that healing's actually hard. Healing's like
That
it
makes sense.
creates a lot of chaos
Yeah.
internally because you're starting to dump all these bad things. So I guess I'm not super. The question is, 3 months again is, even though it can feel like a long time, and it can feel like you're being consistent with your supplements and you're having to have this specific diet and stuff. 3 months for the body's still not enough time for me to say your body's created a new norm.
Mm.
And hearing this fluctuation sounds like your body's probably coming in and out. Of like how much progesterone it has, how much estrogen it has. And those are gonna, I would still wait till about 6 months, 9 months of us working together, to start to say, are we seeing a new norm?
Okay. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad that I love this sheet. I love this Excel sheet. It's just like a cheat sheet, you know, what's getting worse, what's getting better. Nausea is down, which is great because I think that was related to what we found on your lab tests.
Yes, I do too, definitely.
Yeah, your nausea was at a 4 out of 5. I mean, that's miserable, which is part of
Yeah,
your upper abdominal pain. Um,
right.
and it's down to a 1. So that's
So
good.
great not to have that.
Oh, that 1. Tell me about it. When's it happening? What's going on?
It's just once, like every, gosh, not even once a week. It's just, and it's, I don't know if I can connect it to any one thing in particular, but it just kind of crops up for a very short period of time. And then it'll just disappear. So I don't know if it's kind of like what you've been talking about. My body's still kind of adjusting, and
Interesting. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Short period of time, like a few minutes.
Yeah,
And during the daytime, typically, nighttime, or both?
just during the daytime.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Like you might be nausea prone, as in there's other things in the body that can create nausea, like an elevation in histamine can create nausea. So if you go
Yeah.
through this like little like blip where
Yeah.
your body's going through some process, that you're unaware of because you're taking care of the kids or something, you know, like
Yes, exactly.
you're methylating something and there's a little like bloop, you might get nausea, and then your body, but the good news is your body's clearing it out because it goes away.
Yes. Okay.
So histamines is the first thing that comes to mind for this. If it were something, other things that cause nausea like H. pylori, if that's causing nausea, it hangs out. It does not go away.
No, yes, and I can recall that. So
Oh my gosh. Yes. All right. Let me see what else I'm finding. Night sweats are down. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Again, one thing that we talked about was night sweats actually can be related to your liver, because your liver can activate at night if it's not getting all its jobs done during the day. And because it's such a big organ and has so much blood in it, it'll just like, it'll heat you up a ton. Like,
yes,
so, um, your energy to exercise is improved. The often awake between 2 to 3 a.m. is gone. You went from
yeah,
a 3 to a 0,
yes.
which correlates with what
Awesome.
you said about the sleep.
Yes, it's great.
Okay. Your skin's less oily. Do you like that? Is that good? It's not too dry?
Yes, no, no, my skin has always been super oily, and it's much, much less oily. It's great.
Okay. Looking through some stuff. You feel like it looks like some of your focus is better, like
Yes.
some improvement. You rated absent-minded from a 3 out of 5 is now to a 2. Can't think clearly, went from a 3 to a 2. So some like slight improvements, like room for improvement, but like a shift, a
Yeah,
notable shift in all these numbers,
definitely.
which it looks like, some of these, and I want to point out and affirm to you, if you've been sensing this or maybe you haven't fully processed it, the fact that some of these things like that we have you mark, like one of them is decreased tolerance of others, and then you rate it, your number changed. It improved. It went from a 3 out of 5 to a 1 out of 5. And that's sometimes, a lot of times, that's not because you're a better person or you were a bad person before,
Right.
but of all these pressures going on in the body where things are not, you don't feel good, or our neurotransmitters can be very affected by other things going on in the body.
Yeah.
So I want to I want to celebrate that with you.
Thank you.
That first off, if maybe even taking time to journal or something about if you've ever dealt with stuff like why am I such a bad mom, or like what's going on here, and if you feel like you've improved in those realms over the past few weeks, going back and um, we haven't delved into this, and I don't know if this would make sense, but if I say this and if this does make sense, going back and journaling and forgiving yourself and saying like, I forgive myself for being short tempered. I forgive myself for being upset when it didn't make sense why I would be upset, and things like that, because sickness really can do that to us. I'm actually getting emotional because
No, you're giving me goosebumps because it's true. I mean, it's like, yeah, I did when I did that yesterday, and I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, yeah, I really do feel like I can tolerate people better, and so yeah, it is like you said, something to be celebrated because I did feel like, gosh, I'm a terrible person. I don't want to be around anybody, you know. But you're right, sickness can affect you in ways that you don't even realize.
yes, and it's subtle, and sometimes we can own it and say, well, this must be me because
Right.
it's my thought I'm having. And the truth is that's not fair. Our sickness is not who we are, whether that's a broken leg or a cancer or something. And so, but these subtle things that that you and I are working on, and that I work on with a lot of my clients, it's this nausea and like things that can get dismissed by doctors, and then you think it's all in your head, and
Yes.
you think you don't have a lot of, I don't know, you should just have more willpower or something.
Right. Yeah.
And then we actually deal with it, and you needed almost zero willpower. Would you say that?
Right.
You just
It's
like
true.
magic.
Totally agree.
All right. I want to make sure, see if I see anything else. And that was in our neural tissue section. All of that, pretty much all of those, you've had, one or two or three numbers of improvement. Yeah, got some persistent musculoskeletal pain. We're gonna talk about that more. Our next steps for you.
Okay.
And then cravings for sweets is down a little. Was that surprising?
No, because I definitely noticed a difference. I mean, it went from like every night after dinner, I wanted something sweet. And
Yeah.
now I don't even think about it half the time. You know, I do occasionally think, oh, you know, I would love to have some ice cream or something. But then I usually have some like bedtime tea. Um, and that, I mean, my cravings go away. It's not like I fixate on that idea of having something sweet, which is what I used to do.
Right. And I don't remember actually if we delved into this a lot when we were doing our consultation, but bacteria can actually talk to us through our neuroendocrine system. And so they can send out chemicals that then our small intestine picks up on, and then it'll send those signals as an electrical signal to our brain. And it'll say, I'm hungry, feed me, blah, like very specific signals. And so bacteria can actually, yeast like candida, they can affect our cravings, especially sugar. Candida is particularly mean on that.
Okay. Darn candida.
Yeah, so that's the second time. I'm surprised it's not any lower. You rated it a 2 out of 5, and it was a 3 out of 5. So I'm starting to be more suspicious of a little bit of candida going on.
Which I've had that before, so I can.
Did I ever have you do a baking soda test?
Yes.
And okay, here's the thing. We're going to see improvement because you're getting rid of, I believe you had H. pylori, correct?
Uh-huh.
My notes aren't in front of me, right? So you have low stomach acid once you're done with H. pylori and you finish your Matula tea, correct?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you do another baking soda test.
Okay.
We're going to have you do that as your homework. I see you writing down. Awesome.
Yes.
And then once you do your baking soda test, we're going to, I'm expecting it'll still be low acid, stomach acid, but now we can start supplementing with a specific supplement so that you can start augmenting your stomach acid. And that's going to help you take care of excess bacterial growth in your small intestine.
Okay.
So like candida, because your stomach acid actually helps regulate overgrowth.
Okay.
It also helps you, break down food, which is important. So breaking
Good.
down food also is going to help your neurotransmitters because you'll start to get protein that you need and amino acids. It's going to
Okay.
help with your fatigue because you're going to get some of the basic nutrients you need. Like you, without a stomach, high enough stomach acid levels, you can't absorb calcium. You can't
Yeah.
absorb B12, really important nutrients. So we couldn't even deal with that stomach acid problem until H. pylori was gone, which is why this process is about 6 months.
Makes total sense.
So, but it's amazing because you already feel good and we're actually going to make you feel even better.
Great.
Awesome. I'm very, very, very excited.
Me too.
Ah! Okay. So, because I think that cravings for sweets is going to go down a lot. You also have just other things to celebrate. Anger that is relieved and irritability that's relieved by eating is now only at a 1 out of 5. It used to be a 4 out of 5 for you. Huge.
Yes.
And feeling faint. This is big. You were at a
Yeah.
3 out of 5, and then now it's a 1 out of 5. So, and that's obnoxious when you're just going about your life and you just feel faint.
Yes. Yes. I would just see stars like all the time. So
And you even have shakiness and nervousness relieved by eating also
yeah.
down. And
Yep.
that correlates again with the fact that when you have overgrowth, whether that's H. pylori or candida or whatever is in there in the gut, they're stealing nutrients from you. And so when you eat, you're not getting all of that nutrients, then your blood sugar's dropping because it's stealing stuff from you, and then you also not are not absorbing nutrients you need because you can't break it down potentially, and now you're doing that better, so you're getting all the nutrients you're actually feeding yourself.
Imagine that.
All right, let me see. Chemical sensitivities have gone down for you. Tell me about that.
um, I feel like I used to be very sensitive to, like if people wore perfume or cologne, it was very strong, or going into a store that had a very strong smell or something like that. I don't feel like I'm as, I'm not hit as hard with those as I used to be. Maybe like I can tolerate them a little bit better now.
You don't
Uh,
love them, but like
right, exactly.
but yeah, it's not as I'm like immediate headache or immediate, yeah. And that's good. It's basically saying your body has greater capacity, you have greater margin to handle different stuff. And that'll be the case also with food. So same level of like greater tolerance for food, things that shouldn't be harming you, but right now your body thinks is harming you. And then
Yeah.
same with perfumes and things. So okay. You said acne is reduced.
Yes.
Um, let's see, intestinal gases reduce,
Yeah.
loss of appetite is reduced, which is good. That's very
Yeah.
common with H. pylori. Nightmares are reduced
Yes, which is great.
because you're sleeping better.
I know, it's amazing.
And anything else? That's that. Actually, the one thing you don't have a number here for, and I don't know if that was because it was a 0 weight gain. There's no number here. Is that a 0 or?
I've lost weight since working with you. I've lost about 10 pounds. So I guess it has gotten better. And I don't know why I didn't put anything initially. I think that's why I left it blank again.
Oh no.
Um,
Initially, it was a 3 out of
oh,
5.
it was okay. Um, so yeah, it's gotten better. I would definitely say it's like a 1 because I just feel so much better. And like I said at the beginning of our conversation, I don't feel like I have lost pounds, but I feel like I have lost puffiness, inflammation. My clothes fit better, and I just don't feel as swollen as I was.
Right. And actually, when we got on the call before we started recording, we were just enamored. I was enamored with you. You look different. Your face looks different. Your shoulders look different. Like you look like you have lost. And that's this. What can happen is humans don't tend to carry too much weight on their face and neck unless they're, unless you pass a certain point in having weight on your body. But in a 10 to 30 pound, it kind of depends on the person, we don't carry too much weight on that face and neck, but that look of weight can be often be inflammation. And
Yeah.
so and inflammation can actually also be water weight and things like that. So Part of your 10 pounds might be more of that technical adipose tissue, and some of it might just be like that inflammation and the weight that it causes.
Yeah.
So
Makes
huge,
sense.
huge
Yeah,
difference.
awesome.
Was that testimonial amazing or what? I am so excited that Dessie decided to share some of her story with you today. What we didn't record is her follow-up plan and the unique course that we were going to have her take over the next few weeks and months. Because of her stubborn joint pain, we decided to do one more new pathogen test to look at, is there anything else in the body we hadn't found yet? And it's called an organic acid test. It is a great way to get a deeper look into the body than what we'd already done, and it's going to bring us great insight so we can intelligently help her move forward in her healing process. The reason we do this is because we believe in finding the root cause of gut and the rest of the body health problems. One thing that I shared in a webinar recently was a litmus test that you can do if you want to know, are you getting to the root cause of your symptoms? And that simply is, whenever you change your diet, your exercise, or any part of your health, adding in a supplement or anything like that, are you getting results? If your body is not changing and you're not seeing improvement, that is all you need to know to say you're not getting at the root cause. Prior to working with me, Dessie did tons of diet changes and trying to reduce acid from her diet. She had really bad acid reflux along with her upper abdominal pain, and none of that helped her health problems. Now we figured out a huge aspect of the root cause of her health problems, and she experienced changes in less than 7 days. You can experience this too if you find the root cause of your health problems. If you are struggling in getting rid of your symptoms the way that you want to, please reach out to us and set up a 30-minute free consultation. We would love to chat with you about how working with us can help you get to the next level in your health. I truly believe that everybody has that next level in their health. I have that next level, my clients have that next level, and it is our job to help you get to that next level. Other ways that you can continue to invest in your health is by staying connected and listening to more of our episodes upcoming on the podcast. We have so much more coming down the line. Subscribe so that you never miss a beat. And if you thought of somebody while listening to this episode, I would ask you and invite you to take a screenshot of this episode and share it with that friend. I cannot think of how many times I tell someone I'm a gut health therapist that someone says, "Oh, I know somebody who needs you." Literally heard it twice this week. So leave that friend a love note to their gut and send them a screenshot of this episode. Other ways that you can stay in touch is by following us on Instagram at Better Belly Therapies. We love to connect with our listeners, hear what stuck out to you about this episode, hear what questions you have, and just in general connect with you and hear about how we can serve you and support you on your journey in health. And as we always end our episodes with, our little encouragement to you: miracles are immediate, but healing takes time. And I will add that I believe that Dessie saw her version of a miracle in that first 1 and 2 weeks that she started working with us. And yet she is still going through a healing process where she's going to continue to get better and better as she seeks for answers and just an easier, better way to do health.